What's up, everyone? How are you doing today? Today, I will be discussing things that Brazil does better than other countries. This is an opinion piece, so feel free to disagree. But as I have been living for about 6 years in Brazil, there are certain things that I really think Brazil does well, certain things that I think we need to celebrate. Of course, other countries do things well, and I'm curious to hear where you're from and what your country does well in the comments section. I'm sure a lot of Brazilians are watching this right now. Um, Congratulations, your English is very good if you're watching this video. And, well, I think I'll start with something that might be a little controversial, but it's barbecue. Brazilian barbecue is amazing. Brazilian barbecue is called churrasco. Maybe in the United States, you've been to a place called fogo do chão, which literally means fire from the floor. And I know I will have some people in Argentina, some people in Texas, some people in North Carolina that will disagree with me. And I think that's a fair point. I would like to have that discussion. I would like to maybe compare some different barbecue styles. And in fact, the barbecue style from Argentina, they call asado, call their grilled parrilla, in many ways is similar to Brazil. Of course, there are many differences, but they both come from the gaucho culture. Gaucho is the Spanish word, gaúcho is the Portuguese word, and it's basically a cowboy from the Pampas, someone who builds a fire in the floor, fogo do chão, and grill some meats, and that is a really, really great way to spend an afternoon. So basically, the culture of the Brazilian churrasco, the Brazilian barbecue, besides the excellent cuts of meat, the picanha, which is a cut of meat that I don't, I'm not a good enough butcher to tell you what it is, but it's a delicious cut of meat, and we don't really have that cut in the United States. Maybe in Argentina they have something similar, but it's delicious. They also do a lot of different types of sausages. They put chicken on there. They put a lot of garlic. They do this amazing garlic bread, pão com alho. They have also grilled cheese. Like it's not grilled cheese like you're thinking of American grilled cheese. It's like a cheese shish kebab that they call queijo coalho. It's delicious. You could put tons of different types of meats. Brazil has a uh, great selection of meats. It's weird to say. Whatever. But anyway, I usually do these videos in Portuguese. Great selection of meats just doesn't really roll off the tongue. But there's a social aspect to the Brazilian churrasco, the Brazilian barbecue that I really like. Instead of kind of having your own plate, they cut the meat up into small pieces, and you just kind of it's kind of like hors d'oeuvres the whole day. Usually start at like 3, you can start at 2, crack open a beer, and they usually go until like 12, go to 2 in the morning. The music goes from kind of upbeat music to Brazilian country to samba, pagode, various different types of Brazilian music. But it's an excellent experience. People are very friendly. Not everyone's invited, of course, but it feels like everyone's invited. There's always friends of friends, and you always make new friends. It's less closed off than some barbecues I've seen in other countries, and some countries don't even really have a barbecue style. Actually, I need to get to Asia where I can fairly compare. But Brazilian barbecue, A+ for me. Lunch, Brazilian lunch is amazing. Brazilian lunch is the most important meal of the day. You come from the United States, your lunch is probably rushed. Maybe it's in front of your desk. It's a sandwich, a soda, a bag of potato chips. Of course, you could be healthier, but the lunch in America, especially in American corporate culture, is pretty sad. It's fast. You don't enjoy yourself. Depending on where you go, could be healthy. But Brazilians have a tradition, a lunch tradition, where they eat rice, beans, and some type of meat. And they have this thing called farofa, which is something made from uh, yuca flour. It could be made from. It's delicious. You have to try it. It looks a little bit like sand, but you're gonna love it if you give it a chance. You give it a fair chance. They have a thing called vinaigrette too, which they always have at lunch, which is basically like if you know pico de gallo in Mexican food. It's chopped up tomatoes and onions and maybe some. cilantro and some vinegar. It's amazing. It's just it's very tasty. It's very fresh, and it's the most important meal of the day. Lunch is the most important meal. You take an hour. They call it real food opposed to fake food, which I don't know what fake. I mean, actually, we do have some fake food, but they call it comida de verdade, real food. Excellent. It's kind of sacred. It's a sacred time, and they sandwiches they call lunches or sandwich. You might a lot of times they call it lunchy, and that would not be considered real food, and that would not be considered acceptable in lunch. Although I do like I'm from New Jersey. We got our mozzarella Jersey subs. I love those, but they don't really have great sandwich. That's one thing they need to work on is sandwich shops in Brazil. But as far as lunch goes, you can go to almost any corner and you could find a good place. They have this. They have two things. They have per kilo, which you weigh by the kilo, and they have self-service, which is basically like a buffet. And you could really, you're gonna need a nap after, but it's excellent. I've never been to a place where it's so. First of all, you don't have to make a choice because that's what you're gonna have. But I can eat it every day, and I always feel full. I have energy for the rest of the day. It's a social time too. You can go with friends and talk. It's not rushed. It's just a great tradition. Brazilian lunch, A plus. New Year's in Brazil is the best. I'm from New Jersey, and I've never been to Times Square. It's 10 minutes from my house to Times Square. Of course, on New Year's Eve, it's probably like 5 hours to get there, which is why I never go because the tunnels are. I know if you're watching this, you're gonna make a bridge and tunnel joke, but whatever. Um, it's just cold. It's crowded. You're sitting there waiting to watch a ball drop. I mean, come on, is that fun? Do people like that? People come from like Kansas, spend like a couple $1,000s to stay in a tiny hotel in Times Square for that. I love New York. Don't get me wrong, love New York. Could be the best city in the world. But Times Square, New Year's Eve, 0 degrees. Forget about it. I don't want that. That's not me. New Year's in Brazil. Say Rio. You go to Rio. New Year's. It's on the beach. Toes are in the sand. You can run into the ocean. Fireworks on the beach. Summertime. Southern Hemisphere. Summertime. Beautiful. They have parties. Open bar parties. They're not cheap, but if you're coming as a tourist with dollars, it's much better than you're going to spend in New York. With New York, you could spend like $300, $400 for on New Year's Eve to get into a place and not even have open bar. If you spend 500 reais, which is about $100, you're probably getting an open bar all night, nicest neighborhood, and on the beach. Or you could go to a smaller beach town, more chill, less less people, much cheaper. There's just tons of great options. It's summertime, New Year's on the beach, nothing like it. New Year's in Brazil, nothing like it. Best New Year's you could do. Hygiene. I'm actually in front of the medical school here, state medical school, and it's called the Institute of Hygiene, which is Instituto de Hygiene. But Brazilians really take pride in their hygiene. It's a tropical country. Gets a little hotter. Got to pay a little more attention to how many times you're taking a shower. But Brazilians will take a few showers per day, minimum 3. They brush their teeth all the time. They always have a toothbrush with them at all times. Definitely brushing after lunch, which is not something you see all the time in the United States. People leave their toothbrush at home. They're just brushing their teeth twice a day. 3 times, I think, is the minimum. 3 times, I think, should be the dentist provided minimum, but it's not always the case. Really good dental care here in Brazil. People take care of their teeth. People shower a lot. They make sure to smell good. They have this word called cheiroso, which is like almost like people compliment people for being cheiroso a lot more often than I hear people saying, "Oh, you smell good." And you're saying telling someone they smell good in the United States almost sounds strange. But cheiroso and cheirosa are things you hear a lot. Sometimes people even call their boyfriend or girlfriend my cheiroso, meu cheiroso, minha cheirosa. It's a little corny, but people do say it. But anyway, great hygiene. great hygiene. Could be the best. Could be the best hygiene. People really take pride. You walk onto a bus, crowded bus, doesn't smell too bad. It smells good. Middle of the day, you know, for people that know Fahrenheit, 80 degrees Celsius, 30, 28 degrees, whatever. It smells good. I'm not going to point any fingers, but I've been to some countries. And you walk on the subway, you walk on the metro, and people have their arms up, to make sure they don't fall, and it just, you can't breathe. It smells bad. So, not every country places the same value on hygiene, and Brazil doesn't. So, I have to say congratulations. My arm's getting tired here. Oh, I didn't even. This one, I can't fully give my 100% stamp of approval that Brazil is the best in this, but Brazilians will claim they are the best for sure, and something they take about as much pride as their football success in this activity, which is memes. They call them memes. I am from the United States. I think the United States probably invented memes. I grew up in this United States culture, so the memes really resonate with me. But Brazil has a great production of memes. They just produce memes and memes. Every type of situation, from comedy to tragedy, becomes a meme. Nothing is off limits. They make memes, they share memes. The memes become little figurinas, as they're called, on their WhatsApp group. So Brazilians love memes. They say they're the champions of memes. They definitely will beat a country like Portugal. Against the United States, I think it's a fair fight. I think the United States is the inventor of memes, probably, as Brazil invented the airplane. If you don't know Santos Dumont, you should look into that. But I'm pretty sure the United States invented memes. The United States is very developed in the meme ecosystem industry, but Brazil is a meme making country, and they make some good memes. And if you're learning Portuguese, check out Brazilian memes. I'm gonna give him a tie. I'm gonna give him a tie. I know I'm gonna get some flack. Flack is the term means like. Well, if you speak English, you would know. But if you're learning English, which I know some people probably are on this channel, flack comes from like the military, where you're shooting at airplanes, and it means people are going to disagree. You're going to get some shots fired. People are going to disagree. So I don't know. Memes, Brazil, United States. It's a tough one. I'll let you decide. Beaches. Brazilians are lucky. They are blessed, abençoados, with beaches. Beaches, beaches. They have the most beautiful in Portuguese. The word is praias. They have the most beautiful beaches in the world. They have many different types of beaches. They have a huge coastline. The biggest coastline in the world? I don't know. I don't know if it's a good question. I mean, the United States has two coasts, so United States has some beautiful beaches too. From the Jersey Shore, the United States has some beautiful beach towns in New Jersey. It's not all Snooki and JWoww in Jersey Shore. Every time I tell people I'm from New Jersey, they want to talk about Snooki and JWoww and Jersey Shore. What about the boss, Bruce Springsteen? What about Sinatra? That's what I want to talk about, not Jersey. But anyway, New Jersey has some beautiful beach towns. The Hamptons, I hear, is nice, probably a little out of my price range, but I don't think they compare to the beaches in Brazil. Brazil has beautiful tropical beaches. You are often surrounded by a tropical rainforest, by mountains. It looks like Jurassic Park. I'm waiting for a dinosaur to come down. It's just beautiful. The water's amazing. Surf. You can get great food on the beach. Last week I was at the beach, and they had this little shack, and this guy was cooking, and he made this beautiful fish they had just caught 5 minutes ago. It's amazing. People come around with drinks. You can drink on the beach. I'm not saying drinking is necessarily good, but I do enjoy drinking on the beach, and it's something you cannot do in the United States. Get a ticket, you get arrested for having a beer. Even if you put it in the red Solo cup, somebody, a rent-a-cop, will come around and yell at you for drinking on the beach. I'm just trying to enjoy the sunset and a nice cold beer. It's illegal. You get arrested. I don't know if you get arrested. Probably could get arrested. I'm not sure. I have to call my lawyer. I don't have a lawyer. But anyway, um, now, Southeast Asia, I've never been to Southeast Asia. I hear Bali, I hear Thailand have some amazing beaches. The Mediterranean is beautiful. I do love the Mediterranean beaches. But I think in Brazil you have more options. Rio, in my opinion, is the best city beach in the world. A metropolitan area with 6 million people and beautiful beaches. Now, you can't really relax because Rio is a big city with a lot of elements that, if you fall asleep with your cell phone and you wake up with no cell phone. So it's not a relaxing beach in Rio, but it's beautiful. It's amazing. And if you go to a smaller beach town, it's beautiful. I'll give you some options. You have Ilha Bela, Ilha Grande, San Sebastião. The Northeast has Porto de Galinhas, Jericoacoara. I've never been to Jericoacoara, but it's on the list. They have Fernando de Noronha, which is an island off the coast. You have to take a plane there. People say it's the most beautiful beach in the world. It's not a beach, it's an island, but there are many beaches there. Thailand, Bali. I'll keep you in the contention. I haven't been there, but Brazilian beaches for the nature and the social aspect, just like the churrasco. Besides the food, the social aspect of the Brazilian churrasco is just amazing. So, final answer: Brazilian beaches. Hospitality. I've traveled a lot. I've always been treated well everywhere I've traveled. I say I've never been treated bad by a place, just by certain people. So I never blame it on the place if a certain person has treated me poorly. I think that's a good mindset to have when traveling. But in Brazil, the hospitality is really on another level. Not just in terms of like maybe a little different than like industrial hospitality, which I think like places like Thailand have great industrial hospitality, where their whole system from the government down is built to receive tourists. But I'm talking on a personal level. Brazilians are just very friendly. They're very curious. They want to know where you're from. They want to talk to you. They might invite you out for a drink, to go to a churrasco. They really enjoy foreigners. They call them gringos, and they say that with affection, not in a derogatory way. So I really don't think you can make friends in any country like you can make friends in Brazil. As a foreigner, as a tourist or a traveler, a lot of countries have good touristic industries and they're beautiful. But as far as meeting local people and making genuine local friends, maybe not lifetime friends, maybe not, but at least friends you can hang out with for a few weeks and have genuine human conversations. It's not so easy when you're traveling. People that have traveled might agree with me on this, but it's not so easy to get past transactional conversations. But in Brazil, you can. Hospitality and maybe warmth. They have a word called carinho. I guess you could call it caring, but I would call it social warmth, affection. People are affectionate with their family, with their friends. If you come from Northern European Nordic cultures, which United States is, I think the base is Anglo-Saxon, so you get a lot of that kind of cold, not cold, but closed off, German, British culture. But you got your Italians, you got your Latinos who are much more similar to Brazilians in that aspect. But Brazil is a country very warm, very affectionate, very hospitable. Great place to visit if you want to make some friends and really have genuine social interactions. Finally, I have to mention this. It's the Brazilian happy birthday song. They say the happy birthday song in the United States is not very happy. They say it's sad. They say it sounds like a funeral. Happy birthday to you. They're like, is that a funeral song? In Brazil, it's an extravagant affair that people really get into it. They're screaming. Everyone in the restaurant knows it's someone's birthday because they're like, é pique, é hora, parabéns pra você. Hey, they're screaming. They're clapping their hands. They're yelling, and I, it draws a lot of attention. But it's a birthday. It's a happy birthday. You should be happy, and Brazilians do that better. I know I know happy birthday in English. I know happy birthday in Polish. Still I have a Polish aunt. I guess Feliz cumpleaños happy. Tanto auguri in Italian. I know a few, but I don't think anyone beats the happy birthday in Brazilian Portuguese. These were a few things that I think Brazil does better than other countries. Obviously, it was personal, my opinions, my beliefs. It's not to say other countries don't do things well. I'm very interested in having a discussion in the comments. So tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time. Let me turn this off. So sometimes I'm speaking so much Portuguese that I want to use Brazilian constructions in English. They say fecha esse vídeo. Close this video. It doesn't make any sense. I want to turn this off. You understand. See you next time. Peace. Oh.